Yo guys, what is going on? This is Carnivore5, and today I have another video for you guys talking about some of the best budget players you can obtain in MLB The Show right now. Now, there's going to be a lot on this list. I'm also going to kind of teach you guys some attributes to look for. If you're new to the series, I'm going to tell you my personal opinion on what attributes matter and what attributes don't. So first, we're going to start out with starting pitchers, and I'm going to keep this no diamonds. We're going to do golds or lower. Now, I'm going to give you guys a few, golds and silvers, and I'm going to try to also give you guys a few bronzes as well. Now, the golds this year are not too much. A lot of them are only 1 to like 5,000 stubs. So I can still consider a lot of these guys budget players. You guys may not, but I still do. First, let's talk about what attributes matter for pitchers in general. So we're looking at this Verlander card. My opinion, the most important attributes to look for starting pitchers, well, pitchers in general, are hits per nine, K per nine, and then you want to look at their pitch arsenal as well as their velo. Now, I know they increased the pitch speeds. The velo finally means a little bit more. It's still a little bit slower than last year, but I think those are the most important things. Don't really be too concerned with stamina. Like, if you're playing franchise mode, yes, stamina matters. Walks per nine matters a little bit as well. It affects your control. Home runs per nine does not do anything, so do not worry about that. There are a lot of players that are artificially inflated due to attributes like home runs per nine. Clutch doesn't do a whole lot either. If you guys want, you can look at some old videos that I've done a couple years ago talking about pitching clutch and hitting clutch, which we'll get into later. Also, control, I don't think it does anything, but I do need to test this. Again, I have a video I did 2 years ago on control. If you guys want to learn more, I could not find any significance in which control brought to your players. So maybe it does now, but for now I'm still going to assume it. Walks per nine is more important than control. It is a lot harder to pitch this year, and keep in mind, the harder the pitcher throws, regardless of their walks per nine control, it is going to be more difficult to locate with, and that's kind of how the game has always been. But obviously, if you have a hard thrower with a good walks per nine, which you don't see too often, it's definitely a good combination. But again, hits per nine, K per nine, velocity, break, as well as their pitch arsenal. So let's go ahead and get started with starting pitchers. Now, there are a lot of good ones here. I'm going to give you guys a few gold ones that I like. Paxton ain't too bad. He is going to cost you about 5,000 to 6,000, and I like the fact that he has a cutter and he can throw, throw hard. His per nines aren't the greatest, but I just really like his pitch arsenal. Another good one is Luis Severino. He throws really hard, has a good slider and a changeup, pretty decent per nines. You guys are gonna have to keep in mind that a lot of starters do not have as good per nines as what the relievers and closers will have. So if they're in this, I'm kind of looking for 150 overall total for their per nine, so you guys can see hits per nine, K per nine. If that adds up to over 150, I consider that good enough. So Severino is the one I like. Jon Lester is also another one that's really cheap. I know a lot of people liked his flashback last year. The reason I like Lester, I think the cutter and sinkers are probably the 2 best pitches in the game. He doesn't throw super hard, but he has 5 good pitches. So this is kind of a pitch to contact type of guy, and he's only going to cost you 1,000 stubs, so it's not too bad. Arrieta is another guy I've always liked because of his sinker. His per nines are good enough, has 80 hits per nine, but I really enjoy his sinker. It has good break on it. Now, I used to use Daddy Leagues a lot for a lot of these because I don't think we can see. You'd have to go in the offline menus to look at their individual break and whatnot, but usually his sinker had pretty good break. As you guys can see there, it's probably the 99 break. Well, actually, that might be his curveball. I'm not sure. But anyways, I'm a fan of Arrieta. All right, a lot of these guys are good. Salazar, I mean, he's pretty solid. All right, now let's start getting into some silvers. Garrett Richards, to me, is always a nice silver beast. He has 5 pitches. He can throw 97, 98. His per nines aren't the greatest, but I think they're like just good enough to get the job done, especially if you're trying to put together a budget team. But again, he's going to cost you 1,000 stubs. There's a lot of gold relievers or gold starters that are already around 1,000. So just keep that in mind. The silvers are not that much cheaper than the golds this year, so don't be afraid to just buy the golds. Another silver that I like is Jon Gray. He is playing down today. You also have to keep in mind he does play at Coors, so I think that kind of affects his hits per nine and K per nine. I think if he played somewhere else in Colorado, he'd be a much better pitcher. But he does throw hard, and he has decent K per nine. But again, he's playing at Coors, so I don't really see him potentially getting an upgrade or anything. I just really like his pitch arsenal. All right, another good silver pitcher that I recommend is, now I'm sorry if I say this wrong, Lamette, whatever the hell it is. He throws hard, has a good slider, good changeup, and pretty good per nines. For a 76 overall, only 400 stubs, that's definitely a good steal. Alright, now we're going to be moving on to some bronzes. The first one I recommend is Martes for the Astros. Now, I believe he had a futures card last year, but I wish he had a slider, but he does throw hard, has some good K per 9. His control is not going to be too good with a 33 walks per 9, but he does have a sinker, 4-seam, curveball, and a changeup. So I think that's good enough to get the job done, and he's a bronze, you know, only going to cost you 100 stubs or so. And then right under him, I also recommend Alex Reyes. I believe he has the best per 9s as far as bronzes goes, and I could definitely see him getting upgraded. So this might be a good investment, period. But he does throw 97, 98, 99, and he has a 12-6. Now they have a slider last year on his future card, so I'm not sure why he doesn't have a slider this year. But I still recommend this card if you're looking for some bronze pitchers. Another good bronze pitcher that I've kind of always liked is Brandon Finnegan. For a bronze, he has pretty decent per 9s, hits per 9, K per 9. He also comes with a sinker, which he can throw 93 to 95, and has a slider changeup. So I think for a bronze, this is a solid option as well. Another good bronze, similar to Reyes, is Alex Meyer. Now he has 80 hits per 9, 80 K per 9. That's really good. Again, the reason he's just a bronze is because of his walks per 9, but he does throw hard, 96 with his 4-seam. Also comes with a circle change and a curveball, no slider. But I think, you know, if you're looking for a bronze only team, this is definitely a great option. Another good option I like is Matt Strom. He also has pretty good per 9s. He can throw, he's a lefty, he can throw, you know, 95, 96. And I really like his pitch arsenal with a curveball, changeup, slider, and the 4-seam. So I think this is definitely a solid budget option. And one more budget option here is Sean Newcomb for the Atlanta Braves. He's another lefty. Again, he can throw in the mid to high 90s with his base fastball 94. He has a really slow curveball, 80 or 78 miles an hour. And he also comes with a change and slider. He also has, I think, good enough per 9s for 70 overall. This is really a solid card. We're going to go ahead and move on to relievers. Keep in mind, there's still a lot of decent starting pitchers out there. Again, just look for the per 9s, look for velocity, and look at their pitch arsenal. Also, you know, their pitch delivery can also come into account here. So let's move on to relievers. Again, for relievers, there's a lot of good gold relievers. So if you guys are willing to pay, you know, a couple thousand stubs, here's some of the gold ones that I do like. Betances, I wouldn't say he's a budget option, but he is really a beast this year. Very difficult to control, but look at those per 9s. That is insane, and he's usually playing up. And they also gave him a knuckle curve and a slurve. Last year he started out with knuckle curve, and then they gave him a slurve. This year they're just giving him both pitches, and he also comes with a cutter. So the knuckle curve and slurve, you'll be able to offset one another with those pitches. You know, throw the knuckle curve once and then the slurve. It's going to really confuse your opponents, and plus he can throw, you know, 98, 99 miles an hour with a good cutter and some amazing per 9s. I don't really consider this a budgety option because it is going to cost you 8,000 to 9,000 stubs, but I definitely think that's one of the best pitchers you can get for cheap. In my opinion, Betances is pretty much a diamond. I know he's 82 gold, but he plays like a diamond. He's just got really bad control, so you have to be good with your meter or analog or whatever you're using to pitch. Pedro Strop's another really good card. He's only going to cost you about 1,500 stubs. As you guys can see, he's playing up today, has over 100 hits per 9, and he has 98 K per 9. Now he can throw hard as well, you know, 95, 96, 97, comes with a splitter and a slider. Just another solid option. Now here's one of the best lefty budget options you can go with, Josh Hader from the Brewers. He has excellent per 9s. He is playing down today, but he comes with a 4-seam change slider, 2-seam. He can throw his 4-seam in the mid to high 90s, and you guys can see he has 97 hits per 9, 97 K per 9. Doesn't have the best control, but as far as budget options goes, this is definitely one of the best lefty relievers you can get. Tommy Kahnle is another reliever I've always been a fan of, like the last 3 years. I think he was a common 3 years ago, but now he's a silver. I could definitely see him going gold this year as well. But he has pretty good per 9s, and he can throw his 4-seam up to 99 miles an hour, and also comes with a change slider and 2-seamer. Overall, just a great card for being a silver. Ryan Buchter for the A's is also one of the best lefty relievers you can get. As far as per 9s goes, they gave him a curveball this year. Didn't have that pitch last year. No changeup, but I really like his pitch arsenal with a cutter, curveball, and slider. He can throw his 4-seam up to 95, and he has some of the best per 9s you can get. So him and Josh Hader, some of the best lefty relievers you guys can get early on. Kyle Barraclough is another good option at reliever. He comes with a 4-seam slider, changeup, and has 100 K per 9 and 93 hits per 9. So if his inside edge ever plays up, you know, he's going to have some of the best per nines in the game, and he's only going to cost you about 500 to 700 stubs. Now, as far as bronzes, I've always been a fan of Justin Wilson. He has a 4-seam cutter slider and pretty solid per nines, and he can throw his 4-seam up to 96, 97. Jose Leclerc for the Rangers, I might have said that wrong, but anyways, he has also some of the best per nines. Absolutely no control, however. He doesn't have a slider, but he does have a change in a cutter, and he can throw up to 96, 97 as well. So another good option for a bronze. Carter Capps, as always, a nice budget beast. He has that funky delivery. He can throw 97, 98, and he also has a slider and curve. No changeup though, and doesn't have the best control, although 55 walks per nine is a lot better than some of these other guys I'm mentioning. Trevor Rosenthal, you know, he can hit 100 miles an hour. 94K per nine, not the best control, but he has 4-seam, circle change, and a slider. Benoit's another good option. Some of the best per nines you're going to get as far as a bronze goes. He can throw his 4-seam up to 95, also comes with a change slider and 2-seam. And then Jake Diekman, always one of my favorite lefty relievers. He has that nasty sinker and the 2-seam. His sinker can go up to 97 miles an hour, his 2-seam can reach 99. He has that funky delivery, has a good slider and a good changeup. And also has really good per nines as well. Very hard to control him though. Alright, now we're going to move into closers and talk about some golds. Now, one card that really does look interesting to me, Rivera's kind of a, he's kind of like Betances. I don't consider him a budget option. To me, he's kind of like a diamond, but he is definitely one of the best. So if you guys want one of the best, it's going to cost you about 10,000 stubs, which isn't bad. But the first real budget option I'm going to start with is Wade Davis. I do like his card a little bit better this year. They gave him a sinker, so that the sinker and cutter combo, I love it. Plus he has good per nine. Sean Doolittle, another great lefty option, only going to cost you about, you know, 2,000 stubs at most. Good per nines, and he also comes with a 4-seam slider and changeup. And moving right down here to Brad Hand, big fan of this card. It's going to cost you about 4,000 stubs, but he has 5 pitches. You guys can see he has great per nines, and they're playing up today, so it's going to be in the hundreds. And he comes with a 4-seam, 2-seam slider, curveball, and changeup. Zach Britton cost about 3,000 stubs. Huge fan of this card as well, just because of his sinker slider combo. That's really all he is a 2-pitch pitcher, but he has one of the best sinkers in the game, so highly recommend him. Raciel Iglesias, also one of my favorite pitchers because of his sinker. Pretty good per nines, has a good slider, and his 4-seam can reach 97 miles an hour. Also, probably one of my favorite pitchers to you this year is Familia, and they gave him a splitter this year finally. He can throw 97, 98, has one of the dirtiest sinkers. To me, he's kind of the right-handed version of Zach Britton, except he has a splitter. Very, very nasty pitcher, good per nines, and when he's playing up, he was playing up yesterday, he's one of the best right-handed relievers, in my opinion, in the game. Brad Brock, always a solid option. He can throw 95, good per nines as well, and comes with a splitter and slider. And the last closer slash reliever that I'm going to recommend is this bronze Vizcaíno for the Braves. Has a very funky delivery. To me, he's kind of the right-handed Jake Diekman. Has a very good sinker and 2-seam. I don't know why they give him both sinker and 2-seam. But his sinker can reach 95, 96. His 4-seam can reach up to 100 miles an hour. He has 81 hits per nine and K per nine. So you can see he's playing down today. But this is still, in my opinion, one of the best budget options to go, especially if you're looking for bronze pitchers. Now we're going to move on to position players. Alright, first before we get into position players, let's talk about the attributes that matter for hitting. Contact affects the size of your PCI, also affects your ability to hit line drives, supposedly. Power, in my opinion, affects your exit velo. You know, and of course your ability to hit home runs, but also it helps for how hard you hit the ball. So which I think that also directly correlates to your ability to hit line drives as well. That's kind of why I'm a bigger fan of power more than contact. If you square up a ball, you know, with a guy with 99 contact and 1 power, you're probably not even going to end up getting a hit. Like for contact guys, you have to have a really weird approach. You kind of just have to, you know, normal swing or contact swing and just kind of get bloop line drives. It's kind of weird, but for power guys, if you square the ball up, especially with power swing, it flies, and a lot of times you're going to get a home run. So that's why, for how I like to play, I prefer power guys. Less RNG with power. Plate vision, again, that affects your PCI size. Power does not affect your PCI size. It did a little bit the last few years, by like 5%. Now it does not affect the size of your PCI, but contact and vision are mostly what makes up your PCI size, and that's really kind of what I only look for contact. Otherwise, it's not really that important of an attribute to me. Plate discipline is a simulation attribute, so it has no effect. Clutch, I tested a few years ago. Again, I have a video if you guys want to look it up. Hitting clutch, what does it do? I don't think it does anything at all for hitters. Again, for pitchers, I think it affected the PCI size just a little bit, but for hitters, I have not noticed it since I've been playing MLB The Show since 2009. And yeah, I personally don't think clutch does anything. Bunting, you're not looking to bunt with most of these cards. But keep in mind there is a bunt threshold. I'm not sure if it's like 70, 75, but if their bunt is under 70, don't even try to bunt. It's going to be a waste of time. Durability, I don't believe there are injuries in DD, so again, durability doesn't matter. And of course your defensive attributes, they matter. Fielding matters. It's your ability to field the ball cleanly. Arm strength, obviously it's how hard you throw it. Arm accuracy is not really a big deal if you use throw meter, and you can master that. Arm accuracy does matter though if you're using just the regular throw button, because there's going to be some dice rolls in your throws. Reaction, blocking, all that, speed, stealing, it's kind of all self-explanatory. The very one there on the far right, base running aggression, does nothing. That's a simulation attribute, so ignore that one. Again, there's a few simulation attributes, so don't pay attention to them. So let's go ahead and get started with position players. Alright, we're going to start with catcher. Again, this is not a budget option, guys, but in my opinion, this is basically a diamond-worthy card. I have this card on my team, and he absolutely rakes. So if you're willing to spin the stubs, which I think that's a good bargain, because to me, I'd rather have this card than Buster Posey, is this Gary Sanchez. Again, I know it's not really a budgety option, but I do recommend him. Contreras is another good card, and he might be able to go diamond this year, so look out for him. Solid hitting versus righties and lefties, and I think his arm strength should be higher as well, but definitely look for this card. This might be a card that could go diamond too. Another good budget option that I'm currently using in the events is Robinson Chirinos. He is playing down today, but I really do like his power, and I think he offers some of the most power as far as catchers go. Mike Zunino is another great option at catcher if you're looking for power. Again, I think power is probably the most important hitting attribute, and he has 78 power versus righties and 88 power versus lefties. Now, if you're looking for bronze catchers, Chris Arrieta is another good option. Hits lefties pretty well and has a little bit of pop versus righties. You probably only want to play this card if he's playing up on inside edge, but definitely a card you should probably keep your eye on. Alright, moving to first base. Again, I know he's a gold, but to me, this is a diamond caliber player. And what I really like about Bellinger is he is the prototypical first baseman. He bats left, throws left. Yeah, I love first basemen that throw left. Just easier for them to turn double plays and throw over to second or third. He also has pretty good fielding, but the one thing I really like about this card, besides his power, is his speed. 73 speed. I mean, honestly, I've been leading this card off on my team. So I know he's kind of expensive, but again, if you're looking for, you know, a cheaper first baseman, but you don't want to pay, let's see, how much are the diamonds? And you don't want to pay 60, 50,000. I'm telling you guys right now, like, I would probably take, yeah, I would take Bellinger over guys like Rizzo, probably even Freeman, just because he has more consistent power. So yeah, definitely an option, kind of a higher budgety option. So let's actually get into, you know, the real budget cards. As far as the gold first baseman, there's not really any I recommend off the bat. But one of my favorite cards at first base is Justin Smoak. He's a switch hitter. He was playing up yesterday. He had 99 power. He has good power versus both sides, but I love the fact he's a switch hitter. You don't see too many switch hitters in the game. He also has decent fielding at 73. Now, there's going to be a ton of first basemen. You really just want to look at those attributes that I mentioned earlier. But Edwin Encarnacion is another decent option with a 90 power versus righties and 82 power versus lefties. Justin Bour, another good option. Hits righties a little bit better than lefties, but still a solid option. Eric Thames, probably one of my favorite budget options. He's kind of like Bellinger with a, you know, 85, 83 power. Not the best contact, but again, I favor power more than anything. Keep in mind his PCI is going to be a little bit smaller, but this card just has raw power. And one of my favorite cards in the game, Joey Gallo. You guys can see I'm favoring power, and there's a reason for that. It works out for me. And if you guys are looking for power and you can handle a little bit of the smaller PCI, you know, especially if you're playing in BR, the PCI size doesn't matter as much. Definitely take a look at Joey Gallo. Just raw power, you know. So recommend using him in the event, or if you can draft him BR, or you know, if you're looking to put a budget team together for ranked seasons, definitely find a way for this guy to be on your team. Another budget option is Matt Olson. He might be more of a pinch hitter, but like today he's playing up against lefties with inside edge, so he has 87 power versus lefties and 96 power versus righties, and for a bronze that's really good. Another bronze I recommend is Chris Davis, 98 power versus righties. This is probably more of a platoon guy, but if you see him in BR, or if you can get him on your bench in ranked seasons, also keep an eye on him if he's playing up versus lefties. Definitely a great power option, and he looks really crazy in that picture, I'm not going to lie. Alright, a few more I'm going to recommend. Mike Napoli, especially when he's playing up, has power versus both sides, and then Chris Carter also has a lot of power. Now that's pretty much going to be it for first base. I'm not going to go over every single first baseman, guys. Look for those attributes that I said matter. If you guys want a bigger PCI, look for guys a little bit more contact, alright? Don't just rely on power, but that's what I prefer. We're going to move on to second baseman next. Alright, and again, Brian Dozier, not probably the best budget option, but in my opinion, very solid card, very good fielding, very good power, and when he's playing up with inside edge, probably one of the best middle infielders you can get as far as hitting wise. Rougned Odor is another decent budget option. He comes with a little bit of power. I like his swing, bats left-handed. You really only want to use this card in his inside edge just playing up. Alright guys, there's not many good budget options at second base. Honestly, get this card. If you need a budget second baseman, get this card, Ryan Schimpf. Alright, I don't know why they haven't made an immortal card for him yet, because he is like one of the best hitters I've used in this game. Again, he's got that compact swing. Again, I realize he doesn't have much contact or vision, so if you're gonna have to be able to square up the ball a little bit. But you guys can see the stats with him so far. Again, this is events and conquest, so I realize they're really inflated. But 14 home runs in 73 plate appearances. The card just flat out strokes, and I've only struck out 3 times with him, so I don't really think that's a problem. But that's really all you guys need for second base. I'm telling you right now, Ryan Schimpf. Alright, moving on to third base. Really, none of the golds stand out to me. I do like Mike Moustakas, and if you get him, you might as well do the Royals collection, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos. He's just a solid, you know, overall hitter. He can play first or third. I also want to mention Zack Cozart, because the fact he can play second base and shortstop. He has pretty good hitting as well, but if you put him at second base and shortstop, I think he becomes more valuable. He also has pretty decent fielding. So I would look more toward this card to play second base or shortstop as far as budget option. Alright, one of my favorite budget options at third base is Miguel Sano, and he has a lot of good power, decent enough contact. I also like his arm strength at 88, so definitely check him out. Another good kind of utility card, especially if you're looking for somebody that can play second or short, kind of similar to Dozier, is Jedd Gyorko. Has very good power and contact overall. Contact versus righties isn't the greatest, but he has good power at 73 and 78, and he also has good contact versus lefties. And the fact that he can play second base or shortstop gives him a little bit more value. Alright, Jake Lamb is probably much a platoon card, unless he's playing up on inside edge like today. But the thing I like about Jake Lamb, he does have the shift. So, you know, if you have nobody on, try to beat that shift. But otherwise, for some reason, this card always plays better than what his attribute says. But he does have 80 power versus righties, so this is definitely a card you want to check out, or if you have a chance to draft in BR or put on your bench to face righties, definitely a good card. Todd Frazier, if you're looking for a platoon guy against lefties, he has 104 power versus lefties, 70 power versus righties, so he can get the job done if you're just looking for somebody with just a little bit of pop at third. Alright, Matt Davidson, he's only 65 overall, and he has 86 power and 76 power, not a lot of contact. But definitely a very cheap card you can get for 200 to 400 stubs. Alright, moving on to shortstop. Again, a lot of these goals I'm not really big fans of. If you guys are looking for more defense, you know, like Simmons or Xander Bogaerts are not bad options. Looking for a little bit of speed, Trey Turner, not a bad option. But I'm going to kind of go straight into the silvers. Paul DeJong, he's kind of the Trevor Story now. He can also play first, second, or third. So if you're looking for guys, you know, to play second or third with some pop, here you go, Paul DeJong. Good hitting across the board. Fielding's not the greatest, and this card could get upgraded this year if he has another good year. And here's Trevor Story, similar to DeJong. DeJong has a little bit better contact, whereas Trevor Story is more of a, you know, has a little bit more power. Today he's playing up versus lefties, 15 power, so 104 power versus lefties. His fielding, again, like DeJong, is not the greatest, but definitely a good budget option. You can play him at second or third or short. Now, if you're looking strictly just for defense, and I would recommend either, you know, Andrelton Simmons but he can't hit really at all, or Brandon Crawford. So if you guys are looking for defense at shortstop, those are some really good cards you can get. Brandon Crawford, in my opinion, is probably a better option than Simmons, because I feel like he's left-handed and he can hit a little bit better than Simmons, has a little bit more pop, but you're still probably not going to be hitting too many home runs with this card or getting base hits. But he has some of the best fielding in the game if you guys want to go that defensive route at shortstop, which probably isn't a bad idea this year. Next, we're going to move into outfielders. All right, I'm going to talk about JD Martinez again. Probably not a budget option, but I think he's one of the best hitting cards in the game, period, right now for live series. He's playing up today versus lefties. Definitely a card you want to check out. He can't field at all, but a great overall hitting card. Conforto's another good card. Hits righties really well and hits lefties decent enough, decent fielding. So definitely look for this card, especially when he's playing up on inside edge. Hoskins, another budget beast similar to like the Schimpf and Gallo. Has just a lot of raw power. Can't really field. Decent contact versus righties. Not so much against lefties, which is kind of weird. So he has those inverse splits. But definitely a good overall card. He can play left field or first base. Chris Davis, again, if you're looking for power. He has 94 power, 96 power today. Decent enough contact to play left or right field. Again, not the greatest fielding, so you're going to have to take a hit somewhere for these guys. Another good budget option is Steve Pearce. He's a bronze. He can also play first, second, left field, or right field. Good power versus lefties, and today he's playing up and inside edge, so definitely a good option you guys have when he's playing up. He's hitting righties really well today. All right, moving to center fielders. Again, George Springer. I almost think, he pretty much plays like a diamond in the game, and he's playing up today. I really like his swing, and he can play, left center field or right. Good fielding, good arm strength, just an overall good card. It's going to cost you about 12 to 14K in stubs, but definitely one of the better center fielders you can get if you don't want to pay, all those stubs for a diamond. Next card I'm talking about is Tommy Pham. Again, he's going to be really good, especially when his inside edge is playing up. Some solid hitting attributes, not the greatest. He kind of does everything well, nothing great, but definitely a good card, and I really like his swing. If you guys are wanting some speed and defense, Dee Gordon has moved to center field, but he can still play second base, shortstop if you guys are looking for that. So if you're looking for some speed out there, some speed cheese, or stealing some bags, check out Dee Gordon. Another card I've been enjoying using is Byron Buxton. If you're looking for fielding and speed, he also has a little bit of pop, so don't sleep on his power. I have a few home runs with Buxton. I'm not sure what I'm hitting. I'm hitting 471, 3 home runs. So this is all events. So in 14 games, I have 3 home runs with him, which isn't too bad. So yeah, don't sleep on this card. Ian Happ, another good budget option. He's a switch hitter, 82 power versus righties, and today he's playing up versus lefties. So he has 75 power versus lefties. Defense isn't the greatest. He can also play second base for you, so definitely don't sleep on this card. All right, finally we're going to move to right field. Now, if you're looking for a defensive option at right field, look at this Jason Hayward flashback card. He hits righties okay, doesn't hit lefties too great, but he is a beast defensively, and he's only going to cost you 3,000 stubs. So if you're going to go that defense route, look at Hayward. He can also play center field for you guys. Doesn't have the greatest speed, but if you want to put him in center, he can play there. But a very good right fielder. All right, guys, this card's a glitch. All right, I know it's about 7,000 to 8,000 stubs. He can't catch a cold in right field. He honestly looks kind of stupid out there sometimes, but Nelson Cruz can flat out stroke. All right, I'm telling you guys, I'm crushing the ball with him. Most of these games are either on Conquest, versus computer on Hall of Fame or Legend, or in the event, and I'm absolutely crushing the ball. 563, only struck out once. He does have the shift on him, so you guys can try to beat that shift, or you can just try to hit a home run. 13 home runs so far. I'm telling you guys, power means so much this year. It's ridiculous. I think it's more valuable than what it was last year, but this card is a glitch. Scott Schebler, another decent option in the outfield, especially look for him when his inside edge is up. Has good power versus righties, so-so power versus lefties, but there's not a lot of right fielders. He's one of the better budget options. A few more budget options, Randal Grichuk. He has a little bit of pop, so look for him. Decent fielding too, he's a silver. So decent option. And then Jay Bruce, again, hits righties really well. And then the last one I'm going to recommend is Steven Souza Jr. Again, kind of hits... he has those inverse splits, but I don't know. Just look for him when his inside edge is playing up. Not a bad card, some decent power. And I'll go ahead and throw Santana in there as well. He's playing up today. +2 and everything. Kind of an overall, just a good overall hitting card. And that's really going to do it for right fielders. There's not a whole lot of good right fielders. And I know I'm very biased towards power, but that's just my personal opinion on what works in the game right now. Contact is I don't know. Contact's kind of weird because you can square it up, and it'll just be a weak fly out somewhere. So That's why I'm not too sold on contact right now. But those are my budget beats. Let me know what you guys think. I know there's a ton of them. This video is kind of long, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Car Number 5 signing out. Peace.